The Warriors host the Kings in Game 3 at Chase Center. Sacramento holds a 2-0 lead in the series. Here's the Executive VP of Basketball Ops, Joe Dumars, with more.
The act itself, okay, we felt over the top and excessive. The conduct, detrimental. Some of the things that went on after the incident, and then also the repeat offender. We think in totality, you take all three of those things, and that's where you end up landing with a suspension.
You know, we've been here before, and we got to play a game tomorrow night. Once these decisions are made, there's no appellate court. It's over. So you can react however you want to react, but it doesn't change the fact he's not playing, and we got a game tomorrow night.
Stephen A.
Yeah.
Does that sound from Dumars or Myers change the way you feel about it?
Not at all. I was disgusted yesterday. I'm even more disgusted now.
Why?
And in the interest of full disclosure, I go back decades with the great Joe Dumars. I go back many years with Commissioner Adam Silver. I love them both. Talk to them as often as I possibly can. Mad respect, love, and adulation for all of them. Just not today. Today, as in yesterday, I was disgusted by this decision. I'm sick and tired, Wendy and Jay, of folks walking around acting like the playoffs are just another game. It's not just another game.
Right.
It's not just another game. It matters. You got people out here. I understand they're going to make their money. It's well-deserved. The league, the iconic brand that it is, the iconic global brand that it is well-deserved. You got a new collective bargaining agreement. But what was the thing you were concerned about? The fans. It was about player availability. Now, obviously, this is not that. I mean, for the same reasons, but it still comes down to the same thing. The fan is being deprived. What really, really happened? Did Sabonis not instigate it? Did he not grab Draymond Green's ankle? That is a fact. It happened. Did anybody say that Draymond didn't deserve to be ejected? No, not even the Warriors. Everyone knows he deserved to be ejected from the game. But when you see Damian Lillard and others complaining over social media about the suspension, they're absolutely right. Because considering the climate, considering the fervor, the fans, they're 90 minutes apart. You know how rabid it was going to be. And Damian Woody came in during a commercial break yesterday and pointed out, Draymond whooping it up with the crowd and stuff like that probably factored into the equation as well. To me, that's utterly ridiculous, too. They're the enemy, and you're talking smack to them. That's all. That's all you're doing. This is intense. It's been a little physical. J.J. Redick highlighted how the officials had let numerous calls, let him go, that took place with Sabonis already in the series, tripping, hitting people in the back, grabbing their legs. And this time, in this occasion, he grabbed Draymond's ankle. The NBA knows all of this. And I pointed this out yesterday. And again, love Joe Dumars. Classy, that's my brother. I love him to death. It was just a bit ironic to hear that explanation coming from a former bad boy Detroit Pistons. It was just a bit ironic to see that happen. I was like, wow, I couldn't believe that statement came there. I'm like, come on, y'all. The only point that I want to make more than anything like this, if this were the regular season, I'm not sweating it. But nothing is very little that grates me more than a fan come playoff time. Oh, the letter of the law, or the rule, and be consistent. Hell no. The playoffs matter. It's different. Do you understand that if the Golden State Warriors bow out in this, if they lose tonight, series over. Lose tonight, series over. In 5 at the most. Okay? You understand that an organization like the Golden State Warriors can end up losing about $100 million? You understand that the players get a portion of those dollars? And that's compromising their pockets as well. If the series ain't going long, if they're not extending themselves deep into the postseason, these things can be compromised. But I'm not even going there. I'm simply saying, yo, fellas, it's the playoffs. You got to have a bigger reason than that to suspend a man for the next game.
Let me kick this thing off by saying something that's different first. I actually want to applaud the Sacramento Kings, Stephen A.
Okay.
And DeMontis Sabonis.
Right.
On gamesmanship.
Okay.
Well done.
Right.
Well done by Sabonis to sell it, to make you believe that there actually is a contusion on the chest. Because, by the way, the following play, he dunked the ball.
That's right.
He dunked the ball the following play, Wendy. right? But now we're wondering if he's questionable for Game 3. And the X-ray that they got, that Woj reported, well done by Sacramento. I'll give you all the credit in the world. I want to actually break down one thing that Joe Dumars talked about. And Wendy, I know that your point about him working for the Kings, I'm going to allow you to get into that because that's another conspiracy thing that people are going to run away with, and it's a valid point. The second act, though, Stephen A., the act of conduct detrimental to the league. That's what we're doing, or that's how we're building a narrative around players that are talking trash back to fans. That's conduct detrimental to the league. Like, is that supposed to make me think that is somewhat similar to Malice in the Palace? Like, that was conduct detrimental to the league.
Right.
So how are we scaling what that conduct really is? And I get the history aspects of it, but I do wonder, even though I know that your reputation precedes you, lines like that stick out there. When does that stuff get expunged off your record to a degree? Like, we're always going back to 2016? Are we saying, like, and I know that he was tied for second in technical fouls, but, like, are we always going to go back to 2016 with the kick or Steven Adams as reference points to, well, there's a history there? If you actually watch the clip in slow-mo, the reason why Domantas Sabonis' body gets lifted off the ground, he's holding on to his foot that gets lifted off the ground. Now, I'm not condoning the stomp, but one bad reaction begets another bad reaction. I'm not making excuses for it. All I'm saying is the ejection, in my opinion, Wendy, was enough. That should have been it. Let the players decide this series, especially when we understand the history of how soft the NBA has been on suspensions around the league in general.
Yeah, something happened yesterday that I thought was impossible. I mean, there was a tidal wave of reaction within the league, as you can imagine. The Warriors became sympathetic figures. Guys, the league doesn't like the Warriors. When the CBA totally comes out and everybody understands everything that happened, you're going to see that the CBA was written essentially to kneecap the Warriors from remaining good. Like, there's
that is correct.
10 different things in there, and the Clippers and the Nets, but like the whole league attacked the Warriors because they've got so much money they can spend, and they've got great players, and they've got these advantages, and maybe because they're a little bit arrogant. But yesterday, there were people saying to me left and right, they were wronged. I haven't heard anybody say the Warriors were wronged in a decade, okay? And so that tells you, and one of the things is that generally, for the last decade, since Adam Silver has been in the chair, whoever his lead of discipline is has generally followed his lead, which is to go a little bit softer on player discipline. It's been a general thing that's happened. Not in every case, but generally it's happened. And Joe Dumars is in his first year on the job, and he could be in this job for 5 more years. And if he is, good luck to him, because it's a miserable job. You get complained at every single day of the season. Nobody likes doing it. But he could be in this job for 5 years, guys, and not have a decision as consequential as this one. And he was in the eye of the fire here because, as you mentioned, Jay, he was an employee of the Kings until he left for this job. You know, he had a relationship with Vivek Ranadive as a consultant. But he's also extremely close to Draymond Green. Draymond in the past has called Joe Dumars a father figure.
Yes.
When Draymond was coming up in Michigan and playing at Michigan State, Joe Dumars was remains an icon in Michigan basketball. He advised him, and it remains to this day to have a good relationship. And by the way, that's not unusual for the league office. You have someone like Joe Dumars who's been around the league for 40 years. You're going to have connections. But the gravity of this decision, with all that stuff in play, it was very surprising that they would sort of go out of pocket. And one more thing I'll say. The Joe and the league, obviously, with Adam Silver's approval. I mean, Adam Silver has veto power on these kinds of things. Draymond would not be suspended if Adam Silver didn't give the thumbs up on it. I mean, I do believe it was Joe Dumars' decision, but Adam Silver had to ratify it. The league generally has not been that using of past behavior. Again, generally. And I don't have to go back too far. Let me just go back about 10 days.